We should just start advertising for all like the typical ones that you hear on podcasts, and just hopefully, just in the hopes that one day one of them is just going to catch on.
Oh yeah, this episode of Gaming Tangents is brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Oh wait, I don't think that's allowed.
This week's episode of the Gaming Tangents podcast is possibly brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron,
Possibly.
cook meals at home. I could probably do any one of those commercials at this point. I've heard them so many times.
Oh god.
We're brought to you by Squarespace. Build your own website. Build it beautiful, Squarespace. Brought to you by Loot Crate. The monthly subscription service for all the greatest gaming and geek gear, t-shirts, and collectibles.
This month's theme is speed. Get objects such as the Flash, right? Arrow. What the hell is Arrow doing in there? Yeah.
Because the ship goes fast. I don't know.
And Slowpoke Rodriguez. So, that's a character, folks.
Are you telling the people before we even started? I bid you welcome, children of the night, from across all platforms, to the Gaming Tangents podcast. Blah. I don't say blah. I never said blah. Never.
How many times can you say never? One.
How many counts? How many Draculas did we work in that one intro?
I have no clue.
It's the long storied history of Dracula. You can take it from many angles.
It was not by my hand that I was once again given flesh.
Thank you. It's called
I was brought back by humans who wished to pay me tribute.
Good lord. Go ahead. Please continue.
You steal men's souls.
They're honestly going to think you ripped us straight out of the game, and then they're going to kick us off of YouTube. Even though it's not at all lifted audio.
Konami's gonna do a copyright claim.
Look, that's the exact same audio.
It's just as bad.
Oh, that's right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gaming Tangents podcast. It's still Halloween time. Woo! Ooh. I don't know what it was. It was a wooing werewolf.
I don't know either. I would say who earns. Gotta work that Simpsons reference in somehow.
Please do. Please do. That's right. This is the show where we talk about gaming's past, present, and future and do our best to stay on topic. I am Menji.
And I am Mangy Maverick.
Very nice. Oh, I guess I should be Macabre Menji then. Works for me.
I thought that's what you were going to say. I was just trying to keep up the theme.
Wait, we're so in sync that we're out of sync.
Yeah.
I guess. Huh? I don't know how it works anymore. Oh, yeah. I quit. I mean, I don't quit. How are you?
I am good. I carved my first pumpkin ever tonight.
Wait, like forever, ever?
Yep.
Ever?
Forever.
Wow.
Let us take a moment and step back into the past of Maverick.
Right, okay.
Little Maverick's parents were immigrants to the United States. I don't think they grasped the concept of Halloween and the pumpkin carving, so we just drew on our pumpkins.
Oh no.
The end. So tonight I carved out my first pumpkin, and not only did I carve it out, but I made it at the request of my son, Freddy Fazbear.
Oh, so you made that?
Yeah.
Oh! You've mentioned that. You just uploaded pictures of jack-o'-lanterns. And like...
Yeah, well,
we were like... I thought you were just like uploading cool pumpkins. Like, look at these jack-o'-lanterns. We should try this one time. I was like, oh, that's cool.
No, they were ours. I was going to mention that we made them, but I, for whatever reason, like, skipped on that because we were running out of time.
Running out of time. It's a common theme this weekend.
It is, right? So I was just like, I was pretty impressed because it actually isn't complete. I actually missed the teeth on there, but that's because, again, being that this is the first time I carved out a pumpkin, I'm assuming there's a way to do it because if I had tried to carve those teeth in, I would have destroyed the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
But
you got to learn the tricks now.
Yeah, but
it's your first one. My goodness. Had I only known.
I take it you're impressed?
I mean, yes, for your first one. I'm just saying, had I only known that you've never carved a pumpkin before, I would have fixed that a long time ago.
Yeah, I thought you knew.
No, I have no idea. Lord knows we've gone trick-or-treating together.
Yeah, no, I never carved. If I have, I don't remember because that's how often I've done it. You know, I've never carved a pumpkin before. My girlfriend carved the Snoopy one that you saw.
Five Nights at Snoopy's.
So, yeah. So,
it's like those are two really, two really random jack-o'-lanterns, but I know you like Snoopy, and we just talked about Freddy Fazbear, so okay. I guess, yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, whoa.
I didn't know they were
my
yours.
son's back. My son's back in this Five Nights at Freddy's kick just because the new one came out.
New one's been...
so he stopped for a while.
New one's been catching some flack. Honestly, rightfully so, I think.
I watched some of it, and I don't quite get it.
A lot of people don't get it, which I think is part of the problem. Well, I don't know. Nobody knows what he's doing anymore. They don't even know if he knows what he's doing anymore.
Well, I'm talking gameplay-wise. I mean, I will say the graphics are a lot better.
It does. It looks nice, and there are parts of it that have a lot of potential. But on the whole, taking the game in its entirety, just I don't know. There's something not adding up there. It had a lot of potential to be a real nice and spooky game, kind of bring things back to basics. But I don't know, the whole idea of like the ongoing mini games was just kind of awkward, and everything seemed really easy, at least from my perspective as a viewer. Because again, I watched the Markiplier playthrough, and he went through the whole thing in like maybe 3, maybe 4 episodes at most, and usually it takes him like 5 or 6 to get through the entire game and get all 3 stars and everything.
Right.
He was even surprised how quickly it took him.
Yeah, I watched this first playthrough and that was about it. So, and then I was just like, okay, this game is weird, and the jump scares weren't much of jump scares in my opinion. No. They didn't have that oomph that the other games did.
I don't know. I'm out of it. Like Matt Pat's doing kind of a thing right now. And so that's pretty much all I'm watching, but I'm more or less out. I really have no desire. Normally, I at least try and play a demo each game to get a feel for it. This one, I didn't even care. I was just like, this is good enough for me.
Yeah, well, like I said, graphically, it looks good, but, and I guess I'm going to assume that he's probably afraid to move on to something else after the disaster that was Five Nights at Freddy's World. And so, he's probably not wanting to take risks at this time, and he thought maybe it would be safe to go and try another game. So who knows? Maybe it'll, he'll fix it up or patch it up or make a little more sense of it or whatnot. But who knows? I mean, the next one could be out tomorrow. Right. The next, Sister Location 2 comes out tomorrow.
That'd be hard to patch in. At this point, I think he's just trying to hang on until the movie comes out, and at which point he might just kind of move on and figure something else out. Unless it's a smashing success, which I don't see that happening.
Right.
But you never know. We've been wrong in the past.
This is true.
I sure have. So let's just get right into it. We're going to try and lightning fast through this episode as best as we can. With lots going on and so much news. I feel like something major happened this week, but I can't quite switch around to that part of this episode yet.
Oh, really? Well, I can tell you about this commercial I saw, and... Are
you going to make a switch to a commercial?
Yeah, I'm going to make the switch to a commercial tangent. this commercial I saw where there's like this city and this neighborhood, and then you have Chris Pratt sitting there playing Hyrule Warrior. No, Hyrule Warriors. What's it called?
You did say you look like Chris Pratt.
Yeah, it's not really Chris Pratt. It just looks like
Let's
him.
not walk through this whole thing.
Yeah, you see,
and all the balloons came up, and it said "Happy Birthday" on them. Oh, yeah, we got
it. He's playing the new Zelda game. What's it called again? I can't remember at the moment, but the new Zelda game is
Wild Ambition.
Song of the Wild?
Legend of Zelda Wild Ambition.
Something like that, yeah. Wild Ambition, SNK.
Mark of the Wolf.
And his dog has to take a piss, so he goes to put his controller on the machine, which turns out to be just a docking station for the screen that the game switches to.
It switches to the screen.
Keyword here is switch. And he walks out, and his dog takes a piss, and he's still playing his Zelda game.
This is going on almost longer than the commercial.
I think the system was called the system the Wii U should have been.
The Nintendo, the next one.
Yeah. The Nintendo Switch was finally announced.
Yeah, that's right, folks. Nintendo's finally unveiled the curtain for their new console, the Switch. My goodness. I mean, first thing I would say is, pretty much all the rumors were true. And it's not to say that everybody knew everything, but if you followed, various different facets of gaming journalism or whatever, everybody seemed to have little bits of information as to what this thing was.
Oh, yeah.
And if you were to take all those little bits of information and put them all together, they were pretty much all right.
Yeah, this was pretty much Nintendo's best kept secret. Sarcasm intended. This was Nintendo's best kept secret. Like, nobody anticipated this. I mean, by the time this thing had come out, it pretty much met all my expectations.
Yeah. And, at which point we were all just waiting to see, well, how is this actually going to work? Because that was the one thing we didn't know, because they had never put out any sort of design specs. Not much was known, or still known, quite frankly, about the inner workings of the system, processing power, and all that kind of stuff, or how this would go. Because up until now, the rumors were that it was going to be some sort of a home console, handheld hybrid system, and I'd heard, from some places that it was possibly cartridge-based. Other places reported that it may have like these weird removable controllers and things, but nobody really knew how to make heads or tails of the system on the whole. But with this video, like, Nintendo pretty much left nothing in the dark as far as what the system looks like and how it actually works.
Right.
And that I have to say, what's your initial thought on the Nintendo Switch? Let's start there, actually.
Oh.
What do you think of the name?
I like it, actually. It makes a lot of sense. It's straight into the point.
Which is nice, because the Wii, and even more so Wii U,
it's
the hell
the Switch is initially what the Wii U should have been, in my opinion, because, again, having come from working at Toys R Us, good majority of customers that I had thought that that's initially what the Nintendo was. Now, that being said, I'm going to say right off the bat that actually kind of worries me. Just the controller,
you mean?
Like, they thought the controller was the portable system.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being said, it actually does worry me a little. Everybody's pointed out the obvious already. There are no children in this video. They're trying
to be an issue.
I don't think it's an issue because
neither do I.
Kids are gonna play it anyway.
Exactly. I mean, Nintendo has never made anything that was not geared at kids or families.
Exactly.
Ever.
And I think that's been made pretty obvious, and I think they're finally starting to aim for their. For a more adult audience.
That's all
some
it is.
people are saying it's millennials. They know they've got the kids, right? Like, they know there's no issue with the kids. They're not worried about that. It's trying to grab that
that hipster, 25 to 30 base that did not buy the Wii U.
Right. My concern is going to be for those parents who do want to buy it for their children, because they're probably going to think, oh, well, Nintendo's doing this again, I'm not going to, buy into it and whatnot. So that commercial for me tells me that, yeah, this is why we're reaching out to the adult audience, because the parents are probably not going to get it unless they talk to other adults first. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like adults who know what they're talking about. I know that kind of doesn't make sense, but it does. But just if you've worked in retail and you worked in an electronics department, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Right. I mean, even after seeing the video, it still would kind of hard to explain to somebody who just doesn't get video games at all to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Even somebody else who understands video games more or less, it'd still be hard to explain. So basically what you have is like a console stand almost, and that's what's connected to your TV. Inside of this stand, you can plug in what's basically a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
And a fairly nice looking one too, at that.
Right.
Definitely bigger screen than the Wii U controller. And that's where the little cartridges go in. And they look like they're, a little bit bigger than 3DS cartridges, but Nintendo has definitely said that 3DS cartridges will not go in the Switch.
Right.
They already made that statement.
Okay, and I am going to address something here, because apparently people are bitching about this.
Goodness. It's a
people
different
are bitching. Here's the thing. Okay, for anybody who is actually listening to us and anybody who understands or who wants to understand why Nintendo is doing this, think about the corner they have put themselves in with both the Wii and the 3DS. Okay? If you want to make it backwards compatible, then you have to manufacture the system to be able to have the functionalities that both these systems had. So let's say, for example, because I don't know, I have not seen it, or if I missed it, I don't know. I watched this commercial a couple of times. I never see them touching the screen.
Nope. Yep. That's been somebody else, but few other people have mentioned that as well.
Right. So I don't know if it has touchscreen capabilities or not. And these games do. These Wii games do, and these 3DS games do. Yeah. So if Nintendo were to add those functionalities to the system, it's gonna make the system cost more money.
Absolutely. Especially a system like this. Like, first off, just get it out of your heads that this system is gonna run discs.
Right.
Just the way that it looks, it ain't gonna run discs. So just forget about it.
Right.
You got your Wii U, that's backwards compatible Wii. Just leave it if you really want to keep that thing.
Right. If anything, they will probably. And then there's that's the other thing. People are saying, well, let's hope that the games on the Wii are able to, somehow, they're able to do something to make the games function on the Nintendo Switch. I don't think that's going to happen. If anything, they're probably going to come out with new editions of their most popular Wii games. Because one of the games I noticed on there was a Mario Kart game. And a lot of people are questioning whether it's a new Mario Kart game or not. Personally, from what I've seen, I think it is Mario Kart 8, just because one of the tracks on there, I believe, is Yoshi's Circuit. And I think that was... I'm not 100% sure because I haven't played it in a while, but I think that's one of the downloadable tracks on Mario Kart 8. And it's the Yoshi Circuit from GameCube. The other thing that people are saying is that, oh, well, King Boo is in it, which is true. He could be. They could have some additions to the character. I don't know yet. Some people point out other things that make me believe that it could be, a modified version of Double Dash. But the track I saw looked like it was Yoshi Circuit from the GameCube version.
Yeah, didn't see double characters either.
Right. So
sounds like it could be, Mario Kart 8 Switch. Which, could have some more tracks,
Switch edition
extra
or
characters.
Right, because I think that's what they're going to do. And the only one disappointing thing for me is that I guess that means no Mario Maker on the system, which is kind of sad. But, I got my Wii U, so I'm not worried about it.
Honestly, in this day and age, almost everything is made with a touchscreen. I'm almost positive that the tablet is going to have some sort of touchscreen capability. They just probably didn't want to harp on it on this video. But it's true. You don't see anybody touching the screen. And I think a big part of that is the fact that they just want to really focus on the functionality of the controller. Which the controller, quite honestly, is pretty amazing because, so like I said, you have that little console stand, charging dock, whatever the hell you want to call it, that's connected to the TV. I have a feeling that's probably got some processing power of its own so that it'll upscale whatever games you're playing when you plug it in so that they look nicer on the TV. But yeah, you slide the little tablet in there. It's got a little shield there blocking the screen of the tablet, so you couldn't tell that there's a little tablet in there. Somebody walked into your house, it just looks like you have this little box, this little stand-up box connected to your TV.
I like the look of it. Sorry, you
it's
bring
pretty.
That
no,
up, so.
You're right. It's very nice. No, go ahead.
Very sleek, and it
is.
I just like, man, Nintendo. The Wii wasn't, in my opinion, looking back on it, wasn't the greatest design. In my opinion,
it was real simplistic. Probably on purpose, but almost to a fault.
Right, very bland. And then again, going back to the Wii U, the console looks very similar to the Wii. It's a little more rounded and a little bigger, but it's, it looks very similar to the Wii U. Again, poor marketing right there.
Yeah.
I hope that guy got fired. But the Switch, I think it looks. I think it looks sleek. I think it looks nice. I think it's a great design, and I like the idea. I kind of feel like they took this idea, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know if any other system has done this, but the one I'm thinking about that comes to mind is the Neo Geo X. I don't know if you remember or know anything about it.
Yeah, I remember. It was kind of it was also kind of a hybrid system, wasn't it? It was a little handheld.
It was a little handheld system, and apparently it was terribly produced, from what I understand. But I'm still interested in one. They had a docking station that looked like the Neo Geo, and so what you would do is you would put the portable system onto the Neo Geo to charge it, but then you can play the games on television when you did that. Apparently, it was all through emulation, but it was a neat idea going, and that's actually the first thing that came to mind when I saw this.
Oh, yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah, lots of similarities can be drawn. So, so the first thing you see, like Maverick had mentioned, the guy on the sofa playing Zelda.
Chris Pratt. It was Chris
Call
Pratt.
of the Wild. He looks like Chris Pratt. It's not Chris Pratt. And he's got a controller in his hand. It's kind of reminiscent of, a typical Nintendo controller. It's got little sticks sticking out and, dual thumbsticks. It's got 4 buttons on the right. I don't know about shoulder buttons. I'm going to guess maybe not.
I think it does.
It does?
Because
Okay.
someone had mentioned
but
using
an
it
odd
for
thing to notice
Mario Kart.
An odd thing to notice at first, which makes sense later, is that the D-pad, the up, down, left, and right are all separated as well into separate buttons. Which seems odd at first until you realize that, when he goes to take his dog out for a walk, what he does is he removes the left side stick and buttons and the right side stick and buttons from the middle of what was just basically a controller connection device, basically. And then he slides them on each sub console that's connected to the TV. You hear click, click. He lifts it back out, and there is the tablet connected to these 2 sides of the controller. And so now that little tablet has not only turned into its own little portable game system, but the game that was playing on his TV, immediately, and I'm hoping this is indicative of real world, it just immediately switched over to the screen, right where he was, without very limited delay.
I'm going to speculate that this is going to be a functionality, because as far as when it comes to their devices and everything, Nintendo usually comes through on their products. Yeah. And I'm willing to bet that's probably where they were having. That's probably why we weren't seeing a lot of information on this because they wanted to make sure they had it perfect. They don't want to this up.
No, this is kind of their last chance to kind of come back out on top. And they might, quite frankly. So it's just kind of, not to gloss over, but to kind of touch on some of the other things you see as this commercial rolls on. It's a pretty long commercial.
Before you go on, you were talking about the controller. I wanted to mention something about it. I know you said it reminded you of a standard controller. Honestly, this is gonna sound weird. When the Switch is on its base controller, like when you're playing it on the television, I kid you not, the first thing that came to mind was a Dreamcast controller.
That's also, I was gonna make that comparison, but I was like, wow, that's just the wrong system in general. But it does have that feel. If anybody remembers the Dreamcast, kind of rounded. I mean, it's a lot more rounded. The Switch controller isn't quite as rounded. And then the Dreamcast, of course, had those two little I don't know, pointy prongs sticking out of the bottom. And it looks a lot like that. It looks like a cross between maybe like a Dreamcast controller and maybe like the N64 controller. Not just a bit more, thought in button placement and analog stick placement, all that kind of stuff. It's somewhere in between those two.
No, I see what you're saying, and I didn't mean to interrupt, but I mean, I did want to point that out because that came to mind. Of like, that looks like a Dreamcast controller to me.
It gives a better visual picture, I think. So the next thing you see, some guy is going on a flight. He's playing his Switch, just waiting at the terminal in the airport. He gets on the plane, pulls down his little tray table, and flips out a little stand from the back of the Switch tablet, sets the tablet down on the stand, and here I'm thinking, oh, he's going to put on a movie or something. That was my first thought. I was like, oh, he's going to sit back and watch. This is the movie functionality. You can watch movies on this thing. No, he clicks out the two sides of the controller off of the tablet, leaving the tablet on the tray table, and proceeds to just keep playing with the two ends of the tablet just freely in both hands.
Yeah, that looked awkward.
I thought was amazing.
I was just like, okay, I could see so many things going wrong with this,
right?
Especially if it has motion capability like the Wii did. Can you imagine playing that on a plane and then just like swinging your arm to the right and punching that person next to you on the face?
Yeah, another good reason maybe to just not worry about putting Wii games on there.
Right. So,
but I mean, just thinking about my own time flying in a plane. And how you you don't want to be all scrunched up with a little screen like this the whole time, especially if you're on like a long international flight. So just being able to have your arms just kind of comfortably on either side of you, on the armrest or something, but being able to have the full functionality of both analog sticks and all the buttons, I think is pretty cool.
Right.
And at the same time, you could still theoretically keep that middle base part with you, in your bag or something, connect that to that, and then you've still got a full, sturdy controller also if you don't like having loosey-goosey separated controller feel as well. Like, there's a lot of different ways you could play this thing, which I thought was awesome. The other thing
Go on.
To note, this is more towards the end of the commercial because I'll go back. There's another functionality in between there, but I'll go back to that in a second just because it's a little bit bigger. This girl it's got to be New York because there's people hanging out on the roof of another building across from her. And I was like, that's got to be New York because that doesn't happen.
All right.
She sees her friends across the street on the roof of another building having lunch at a table or something. They're like, come on over. And she's like, okay. So she takes her game system out of its console as well, kind of heads on over there. That's my one thing. It's like none of these people like are able to take themselves away from their game.
Right.
That was the one thing I found weird about it.
Because someone would actually
everybody feels obliged to continue to take the game with them as being their friends and stuff.
Because
at
people,
some point, you should probably turn it off and go enjoy outside without the game.
Oh yeah, well that. See, I'm glad you pointed that out and not the basketball one everyone's pointing out.
I'm going to go back to that because the basketball thing is actually cooler than you think it is. That's the one I'm referring to. So she goes.
No. But I'm talking about you pointed out something different that I haven't heard because everybody else is like, who goes and plays basketball and then puts the thing on the
and starts playing video game basketball. Yeah, I mean that's honestly less weird to me than the fact that people can't seem to put their game away.
Right.
But anyways, it's all just to kind of show the functionality. So she takes it over to her friends, who it seems to me are probably not video game people or just don't have a Switch yet. So she sets the game down. She takes the two controllers off of the side of the tablet again, like the guy on the plane. She hands one of the controllers to one of her friends, and so now they each have a side of the controller. And she was playing what looks like a new Mario Brothers game. And so she hands this controller to her friend, and now they're both playing the game, each holding one side of the controller, which, quite honestly, if you look at them, they could each be their own separate controller, like a little NES controller, basically.
Right.
And so you basically have your two controllers right there for, it seems like, minimal games that require analog sticks, multiple analog sticks, stuff like that. So you couldn't maybe do that with a Call of Duty. But definitely, it looks like with this new Mario Brothers, you just need the one analog stick to move.
Well, yeah, and then there's also, Jesus, what was it, the plane? I can't remember where it was or where it was that they were doing that. They had, I guess everyone's calling it a Pro Controller.
Right, the Pro Controller was in there somewhere as well, and that looks like the Wii U Pro Controller, more or less. It's not removable at all. Yeah. But if you just want one standard sturdy controller, they do also sell that, it looks like.
Yeah, and that's probably what I would get, because that's what I ended up getting for my Wii U.
No, totally.
But everyone keeps saying, oh, it looks like an Xbox controller, and to me it looks more like an old, like a hybrid PlayStation Super NES controller, if you ask me.
It would totally be necessary, especially because I guess, theoretically, with all these things we're explaining, you're already thinking, what? Both sides of the controller each have their own battery that each need to be charged. And so that already just sounds like kind of a little bit of a headache. So having just one controller, I think, also is probably great.
I have to go and say, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, and I know I'm being the pessimist here because that's
your
part of my personality.
Show now.
Yeah, exactly. I can just see the number of video game thefts going up because it's now it's not just, hey, he has a 3DS. It's oh, he has an entire console I can play. Especially if they're carrying it around with them. Like you were saying, it's like, yeah, I could see that happening, especially on day one.
Oh yeah, happened with Vita, happened with the PSP. Anytime you got a pretty new console, people are going to try and snatch it out of your hands. Keep a grip on that thing, because it's pretty looking, man. If you get a Switch, get a lanyard on it or something.
Oh, retail stores are going to have a field day with the protection plans.
Protection plans and accessories.
I don't blame them. I would do not I would do it. I mean, as an employee, I would be pushing it. Yeah. So except that you these guys gotta stress, and if you're listening, be sure to ask us: does it cover theft?
Exactly.
Because if you're worried about theft, it's not gonna cover it.
One thing I want to touch on, because I had already seen one meme out there. It was like a little GIF of a little cartoon character holding the tablet, and while they're holding it, like they're holding the controller, and then the tablet itself just slowly slides off and falls to the ground and breaks. While they still have the two sides.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, it could possibly happen, but if they're using the same kind of magnets, which is in my Surface tablet, which I'm using right now, which keeps the keyboard locked, like that thing has a vice grip on the keyboard and will not let it go unless you like physically try and yank him apart.
I don't think that Nintendo would have put that out unless it was perfect. Let me put it this way: if you listen, I like to listen to Did You Know Gaming, and one of the things I remember hearing on the about the 3DS, because again, they know they're marketing this stuff. They know children is going to be part of their core audience. Okay, with a 3D, I don't know if it was a DS or the 3DS, but they have people test dropping the system 1,000 times and making sure it's still durable because they know kids are going to drop this thing. So, I mean, to get it to a point where some people have gotten it to, they have to do the Mexican hat dance on the damn thing to get it to break the way they do.
Someone's going to do it just so that they can get it on YouTube.
Right,
See,
exactly.
Breaks. Look at how easily it breaks. Nintendo's conning you.
Yeah.
No, but I feel like if they use these magnets, that thing is not going anywhere unless you physically do something. Which again, every time it cut to a new vignette, it would have the logo of Nintendo Switch, which is basically the two controllers in kind of a monochrome, like white and red or gray or something like that.
Yeah, positive and negative space.
And the two sides would kind of click together, and it would make like a real audible like clicking sound. So the fact that the controller literally clicks into there, I think, is a big selling point they're trying to get across, that this thing locks into place. That's the feeling I got from watching that part. Anyways, so let's backtrack over to the basketball vignette that everybody makes fun of. It is a little weird, but for some reason this one doesn't bother me as much as the girl that can't pull herself away from her video games to go have lunch with her friends. So a bunch of guys are having a real basketball game. They stop playing basketball. And I think that's probably where people are having problems, is it seems like they just stopped the game all of a sudden to play basketball, which I don't think is the case. I feel like the game was over.
Right.
But they just don't want the game to be over. But, some of your friends are going home, so you don't have a full team anymore, but you want to keep playing the game. So they go and set up on, one of those picnic benches they'll typically have by city basketball hoops. And they set up two tablets right next to each other. And then they start playing at each other, NBA 2K or whatever it is. And that I thought was awesome, because basically what that signifies is short-range Wi-Fi co-op.
Right.
Which again, if you can have on sports games, that's awesome, and it's like sports games. First-person shooters and stuff like that, because you can't see what the other person is doing, so it completely negates split screen, which is awesome. But then you can also theoretically have two people playing on one screen, two people playing on another screen, so now you've got 4 players off of just 2 systems.
Right.
No wires necessary, although they'll probably come out with a wire just because it saves battery, I have a feeling. But if you don't have a wire, don't need it. And so that I thought was probably the coolest thing, is that you've basically, for the first time since LANs, are able to have 2 consoles going up against each other. So you're going to have 2 console-level games that are able to Wi-Fi connect with each other close range.
Right, and not counting, of course, the portable systems, which
No. I'm talking consoles, straight up, just home consoles.
Right.
Because like the Xbox One, you could string them together, but again, you had to have the cables for it and everything. This will be the first time you can just have them right next to each other, link them up, and just go at it. And I like the way that they had it so that the screens were facing away from each other. So that you couldn't tell what the other one was doing. It almost felt like in Japanese arcade, that's the way they do 2-player games, is the person that's playing against you, at least in fighting games, they're usually sitting on the other side of you on a whole different machine.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Well, I forgot the point I was going to make now.
Oh, great. Well, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No, shoot, I really did forget the point. I was going to make a point. And
basketball? Is it your love of Basketball Jones?
Oh, yeah. The NBA Jam. That's the first game I'm hoping comes up.
Hey, don't knock NBA Jam. What's your problem? He's on fire. Boom shakalaka.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka. Oh man. Oh, I really can't remember what I was going to say. Oh, the Nintendo. Okay, I was going to say it's the closest I've seen to something like this that never took off, and I don't blame people for not doing this, mainly because nobody can afford a 3D television.
Oh.
Sony had a very unique thing going on with that, because I don't know if you knew the 3D,
Sony TV you're talking about.
Some of their 3D. Well, not just the Sony TV, but just in general. Like, they had this game, ATV something or other. I can't remember the name of it, but you could play it to where you both would have the 3D glasses on. but like player 1 would see where they're going, and player 2 would see where they're going. And if you took off the glasses, it just looked like a blurred mess. But if you put the glasses on, you only see what you're meant to see, and player 2 is only doing what they're meant to see. So that's the closest I can think of to a console doing that. The other closest thing is that the Wii. I know they don't sell the controllers separate, but you can actually bring another Wii U controller to a system and play on 2 separate screens. So it is possible. So I think the more I think about it, it's like the Wii U was like a prototype for this system. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, honestly, the way I've always looked at the Wii U, unfortunately, is just a giant DS.
For the most part, I like my Wii U. I like the games I have. I don't have a very big library of games, but the games I do have, I'm happy to have them. Like, for me, it was worth the buy just because I do like, a lot of first-party games on there. But I can understand why the mainstream audience did not buy into it. There was confusion. Those who did know games, it was, who do play games, the more hardcore gamers, more than you and I are. Of course, it's all about the graphics, and so the processor's not as powerful. They're like 2 steps behind. And I think with this is again, it goes back to what we're saying. Everyone's complaining about the backward compatibility and whatnot, but you know what? I think Nintendo's trying to start clean slate. Get back on board with the innovation, as well as being able to impress their audience. There is another controversy going on. I don't know if you heard about this one, but it's about 2 of the games that they showcased on there.
No, what?
Okay, there was Skyrim, apparently the HD version, and NBA 2K17.
Okay.
Apparently, these games haven't been confirmed to be on the console. Like, Bethesda and 2K Games were like, these games aren't confirmed yet.
I didn't hear about that. I saw Nintendo retweet something from Bethesda talking about how we're happy to be supporting this system, something blah blah blah.
Right, and so then that's something that they've come out to say, but they didn't. But they also said we're not. It has not been confirmed yet, or whatnot. And so some people are losing their shit, and rightfully so, because you're using these 2 hot games to advertise the system. For me, it doesn't make a difference because I don't care about either game. But I could understand why it would piss off a lot of other people, and I really hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't, first of all, I hope that these games are going to be on the system, which I think they are.
I think they are too. That'd be really weird for them to advertise a game.
Apparently they've pulled this stunt before, because apparently Metro was supposed to be another game that was supposed to be on the Wii U, and it never came out. But that could also be a case of the lack of third-party support, because a lot of people pulled support very early in the Wii U's life cycle. Yeah. I mean, Ubisoft was like, oh yeah, we have Rayman coming out, but it's going to come out on multi-consoles now. It's not going to be an exclusive. And so it was like, really? Everyone's kind of jumping the gun, and again, that's human nature. We're going to react right away to something before we think about, well, what could really be causing this, And I'm not going to sit here and say that Nintendo's not in the wrong for doing this, because it's like, yeah, you probably jumped the gun on that. I get what you're trying to do, but don't get too excited, because I think people are already excited enough about the concept of this console to begin with. Yep. I mean, Zelda should be enough, in general, because Zelda is the Star Wars of the video game world, And so, but I get it. They also want to show that they do have the third-party support. But there are other ways to go about it. Get a game that is actually confirmed. Get a game that, because unfortunately with the internet now, everybody has, it's like, well, you give them the wrong information, then you got pitchforks, people with their pitchforks and torches coming after them.
Yeah.
So I I'm kind of okay. So I'm kind of defending them, but also I'm kind of not because I can understand both sides.
It's a touchy subject because ever since the end cycle of the Wii, the original Wii, Nintendo's just really in trouble with those third-party games.
Well, and part of it is because
even during the Wii's life cycle.
Well, and part of that is because they're trying, innovation's good, and I get that. And they took a really big risk with the Wii. But, again, and I've mentioned it on this podcast before, their biggest mistake was, first of all, naming the console the Wii U. That should not have happened. Yeah. Okay, they could have stuck with their code name that they had for the original Wii, which was Revolution. Although it's nothing nothing too revolutionary about this system, but they could have named it something else. But I think they were trying to jump on that whole bandwagon of naming consoles the same and just giving it an extra, an extra addendum to it, like Xbox 360 or Xbox
confused
One.
The crap out of people too, though, so that didn't work out too well for them.
Exactly, but then that's why I'm saying that with the people who don't understand games, it's like you gotta explain it to them. But then you got the hardcore gamers that know that this is a graphically this is a very powerful system and whatnot. And so those same people are gonna look at the Wii U and say, well, the graphics suck compared to this, and again. For people like me and you, graphics do matter to an extent, but what matters more is the gameplay.
Right. I mean, you want it to look pretty, obviously, but...
Yeah, you do.
In the end, you want a fun game. Or at least
right. Like I could understand, I don't know if they were still pushing this or not, but I know, or at least, I don't know for this year's incarnation of Call of Duty for Kids. Well, it's not really Call of Duty for Kids, but Skylanders. I'm not sure if they released a Wii version of this. Oh yeah, no, that's really Call of Duty for Kids. But Skylanders, the new one just came out this week, and I don't recall seeing a Wii version out there. But up until last year, they were putting these games out on the Wii, and when the third game came out, it was on the Wii. It looked like absolute crap.
Of course.
Like absolute horrendous crap. You really put it on the system. The frame rate is awful. You're putting a game that's on a console 2 generations ahead of you on the Wii, which has the power of a GameCube that came out almost 16 years ago. 15 years ago. So I get it. The graphics do matter to an extent.
Yeah.
That game could be fun. I'm not going to sit here and say Skylanders sucks. It's just oversaturated with,
right.
Market's oversaturated with those games. But, if it was on the Wii U, if it's just on the Wii U and I'm playing the game, it's not going to be a big deal. But playing on the Wii, it's going to be a big deal because it's so underpowered by this, at this point.
That brings up another good topic. I'm going to ask you, because out of the two of us, you're definitely the resident expert.
Oh, the resident expert?
Yeah, sure. What are you getting at, weirdo? Amiibo support.
Oh, okay.
Is that...
I thought we were switching topics. I thought that we were switching topics.
Oh, no. But we should probably do that soon. Yes, this is such a huge story. But yeah, Amiibo support.
Such a huge story with such a little time that we have. Go on.
Amiibo support. Do you think
Amiibo support?
It's gonna happen?
Apparently, one thing I because I'm so focused on what the gameplay is and whatnot, I've not noticed everything. But apparently, they've shown Amiibos, next to the console or whatnot. I think it's gonna have continued support because Amiibos still have a following. I can guarantee when the new Smash Brothers comes out, they'll probably, the craze will probably rise again because they're trying it on other games, and so far, I don't see the big craze for it as it was for Smash Brothers, and understandably so because when you think about it, for me, I collect Amiibos more because it's more of a collecting thing for me. It's not the functionality option of it. We used it on Smash Brothers and whatnot, and your character can build up its statuses and whatnot. You train them; it can become overpowered. It gets ridiculous, and so there's the fun for that. But like, you can also use them to unlock features on certain other games. The Zelda characters unlocked some features in Hyrule Warriors. Even the ones that weren't Zelda characters would unlock like a special weapon or maybe a couple of rupees or whatnot. On the Mega Man for the 3DS, you can use it and unlock new challenges that you can't find on any other system. I don't know. I mean, I have this one here just because I like Kirby. But it's supposed to be used for Planet Robobot or something like that.
Robotic.
Yeah, Robobot. I don't know what it's called, but I don't think it's gonna go away. It has died down quite a bit because they're a lot easier to find now. Because scalpers can't get the money that they were once getting for them. But
you won't be taking your amiibos with you on vacation? On the train?
I don't take it with me to begin with. For me, they're for decoration. And the fact that they... Right. But for functionality purposes, you could probably... Because once you put the amiibo in there, I mean, unless you're going to use it for a game like Smash Brothers or whatnot, for the most part, you can some games already let you unlock features. I think like something like Mario Party, you have to use it. They did a really poor job of Mario Party and the amiibos, by the way. But what was the game I was thinking about? Okay, so Super Mario Maker, you have costumes. So they have this question mark. It only works on the original Super Mario Brothers. They have a question mark with a mushroom on it. A mushroom with a question mark on it, and it's called Mushroom. Not Mushroom Mario, Costume Mario. And so you can either earn them in game, but if you have the amiibos, you can go ahead and unlock them immediately. So it just really depends on what they plan to use them for. There was an interesting thing they did where they unlocked like certain demos. Like there was this free amiibo program that you can download on the Wii U, and like if you put the amiibo on there, it would let you play a specific game that they're from, and it would it's kind of like a time trial kind of thing. Really quick. It's nothing super fancy. It's pretty much like a quick shot demo of the game, and that's it. But they have these little challenges you can do. It just places you in, like, for example, you can put Mega Man on there. It'd probably take you to like a battle with one of the bosses or whatnot, and that would be it. So
I guess we'll see.
But yeah.
Yes. So that's the Switch in a nutshell. At least that's as much as we know. It sounds like more information is supposed to be coming out in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I'm dreading the day they announce it, because it's like I do want one of these badly, and it's like I don't know if I'll be able to pick one up. It'll probably be a few years, but
they gave a date, right? March.
But these, huh? It's March, yeah. What was I gonna mention? My whole thing, because this is already apparently happening with Nintendo Mini, that's coming out. They're, again, scalpers. They're a problem. They think that they can make a quick buck.
Right.
I get it. Some people are in need of money, but some people are just greedy. And the greedy ones are the ones that piss me off, because they're the ones who are already going to put on, I already got this pre-order. If you pay full price now, I'll send it to you guaranteed day one, and they'll end up paying twice or maybe 3 times as much as it's originally worth, and people are stupid enough to buy it, and I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I haven't done that before either. I mean, with the amiibos, I did that, a couple of times when they first came out. And, I can't say it wasn't worth it because I got the ones I wanted, but, it was...
it's all about your perspective, sir.
Well, but the thing is that it depends also on the what becomes available. Like, Little Mac was very hard to find for a while. I mean, he still is pretty hard to find. But it's a lot easier to find them now than it was, say, a year ago.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, but I'm just afraid that these scalpers are gonna go take advantage of those people who really want it, especially the people who want it for their kids' birthdays or whatnot, and everything. And then some poor parent, who is trying to get this one thing for their kid and they can't do it. And there's some that are just, spoiled brats. But then there are some that genuinely, may not deserve, but I mean, they've earned it, they get it. And the parent just wants to get it for their kid. And some idiot comes by and it's like, yeah, I'm going to make you pay like 3 times as much for it, Something, what, $400? Huh?
Don't buy it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Give money to the scumbags.
Don't go paying $800 for this system. Just wait. Your child can wait. Maybe that's why they're not releasing it during Christmas time, which is something that I have not seen people bring up, because everyone's like, well, why aren't they releasing it around Christmas? Well, think about it. They're going to release this system around Christmas time. They already know that there's a problem with scalpers, in the market and whatnot. So maybe they're trying to deter them by releasing it at a time when it's not so... what's the word?
Hectic?
Hectic. Yeah, pretty much. Where people can't take advantage of this. Because they're probably already seeing this with the Nintendo Mini, because I've already heard that they're not going to be able to, meet demands and whatnot. And people are trying to sell these things.
Yeah, people aren't going to be so desperate outside of the holidays to get one.
Right, exactly. So,
and not all at the same time either.
I'm thinking that this might be a way to counter that. So, one thing I do remember the other thing I was going to mention about the Switch that I was going to mention was that everyone's kind of making a big deal about how little the controllers are, and whatnot. And it's like, okay, first of all, a couple of things I have to say about that. First of all, give Nintendo credit that they're even doing something like this. I'm sure it wasn't easy. Don't expect them to. It's like, well, they should have made this bigger for bigger hands.
I guess it's okay, but I'm gonna armchair design this thing because I'm an expert and.
Right, exactly. You go and design the damn thing and see what was cost efficient and whatnot.
Yeah.
So there's that, but in Japan, we were just talking about the Nintendo Mini, or what is it called? Nintendo Classic is what it's called. But Nintendo Japan announced their own version of this called the Famicom Mini. Right. And apparently the controllers for that are going to be just as small. Because
they're keeping the controllers mini-sized?
Yeah, because they're trying to make this as close to the original system as possible.
Oh, so they want to be able to dock the controllers?
Right, and apparently just like the old one, the controllers are hardwired to the system. And so, excuse me, they probably got that idea from manufacturing that. Who knows? It's like, hey, if this works, because I'm sure they've tested it out and they were like, hey, this actually works. This
works okay, actually.
Right. So I don't think they're going to put something out like that without, taking into consideration this thing. I'm pretty sure there was not one person. There had to be at least one person while manufacturing this going, this is kind of tiny.
It's time for big hands.
Again, this is Nintendo. It's not just anybody, because again, I've worked a little bit in the game industry. I don't know a whole lot, but I know enough that there are some higher ups that just don't care. Okay, but Nintendo is very protective of their products. Yeah. I think the worst. I don't even. I mean, yeah, the Wii U as is a failure as a console, but at the same time, these failures is probably what led to this. We probably wouldn't have the Switch if we didn't have the Wii U.
Right.
So they're not gonna try to make the same mistake twice. It's not like, because everyone's like, oh, we use a new Virtual Boy and whatnot, and it's like, no, because the Virtual Boy, first of all, lasted 9 months. We're going off.
Ain't nothing gonna be the new Virtual Boy,
right?
The Lynx is more of the new Virtual Boy.
The what?
The Lynx was more of a Virtual Boy than the Wii U.
Right.
Come on.
But I don't think they set out as with the Wii U and said, "Hey, this is going to be the new Virtual Boy." They learned their lesson from that. From the Virtual Boy. This is a new mistake they made. And they've learned from it.
Not everything is a success with the Nintendo. Like we keep real fond memories of the things that they do well that we forget about all the times that they screwed up pretty badly.
Exactly. So, and everyone's free to criticize it. I'm just pointing out stuff that I've not seen people point out yet.
Yeah.
And people probably have. It's just, I can't watch every video on YouTube.
Yeah. I don't really care what they say. I'm excited for it. At least the potential that I see looks like something that would be really, really awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I actually, I want every system, but I do want this system. I was kind of worried at first because it's like, okay, what is this going to be? Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, with all the information that they had, I was starting to believe that this is what the console will be.
Yeah. So, can't wait to see more.
Right?
Should be awesome.
I find it haunting,
Is that
transition.
Is that an indication that you're ready to move on?
I'm ready to move on to the next subject.
To move on, all right.
I find it haunting. There we go. I don't know. I don't really find it haunting. I just needed a segue.
Good enough for me, man. Good enough. That's right. Halloween season keeps on trucking here at the Gaming Tangents podcast. And so, this episode we thought we would talk about something that has long been a staple of video games. And you never really think about it too much because it has become such a normal thing to see in almost all video games. But today we're going to touch on some of our favorite haunted house levels.
Yeah.
The forgotten laugh.
The forgotten laugh. Well, haunted house. Well, I had a hard time thinking about this because it's been such a long time, and I mean, there are the obvious games that we've talked about time and time again. Ghosts and Goblins and Castlevania, and whatnot.
And those are all just straight up horror games. They never really take place inside of a house so much, more like castles, if anything.
Right, exactly.
So let's start obvious then, because I'm kind of curious if you would even consider this, because it's not technically haunted, but it is damn near creepy and scary. The Spencer Mansion.
Yes. That is a creepy house.
It's creepy. Not just because there's, man-eating zombies walking around everywhere, but just the design of the house alone is freaky. Right. Like, you would not want to be in that house by yourself in the middle of the night.
No, I remember going to that house and thinking, man, I am so nervous about what's going to come next. And for those who don't know, apparently the game was supposed to have a more supernatural aspect to it.
Right.
I remember a screenshot showing apparently blood having appeared on the wall saying to leave the mansion and whatnot. So, it was supposed to have some supernatural roots. Of course, this game is based off Sweet Home, which was, for those who don't know, a Japanese movie turned video game, or vice versa. Nobody can really say for sure. But one came after the other, and the game, looking at Sweet Home and looking at the gameplay on YouTube, I can guarantee you that this would be one of those games that when I was a kid would scare the pants off me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and apparently from what I'm reading is that they wanted to actually remake Sweet Home for the PlayStation, which eventually evolved into Resident Evil.
Oh,
So,
interesting. So the Spencer Manor, definitely like, early 1900s stately manor. Lots of oak and mahogany, long dining rooms with fireplaces. The house in itself, basically could be seen as a character of the game. It's just entryways and stairs and doors going everywhere, and secret passages and strange statues and things that would all unlock other ways to go. It's crazy. So much so that when you actually get through Spencer and you start to discover the laboratory that's under it, the game, for me at least, it always kind of lost a little bit of that appeal once you went down into the labs.
because they had it, that's what you knew the game was more sci-fi horror than supernatural.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you're in a laboratory setting. Things are more sterile. There's a lot more, plain backgrounds, whites, glass, things like that. So you lose a lot of the real interesting set designs that are inside of the mansion. But just the mansion itself just holds all sorts of interesting secrets. It's a real spooky setting. It's got those real tall windows. You never know if anything's going to come crashing through those windows or not. You gotta walk out at one point and go out to this pond, and just the grounds around the mansion are always super spooky. It's just a great house. That's why I was glad in Code Veronica when they brought back like a replica mansion.
All right,
So you could at least experience a little bit of a mansion.
right. Well, they kind of do it again in Resident Evil 5 with the DLC. I can't remember what the name of it is at the moment, but it's basically explaining the story. What happened with Jill and whatnot. And I know that if you try to leave the mansion like 3 times or something like that, it switches to the camera switches to the original Resident Evil and whatnot.
Oh no!
It's kind of
that's the true horror,
right? And it switches. I mean, not the graphics, but I mean like the look of it, like the camera angle and whatnot.
Right.
So I don't know. They kind of tried to bring it back again, but I will say that in Code Veronica, you mentioned Code Veronica. And this will probably be the last Resident Evil thing we mentioned for the time being. I will tell you that out of all the Resident Evil games, that game had one area that creeped me out to no end.
Okay.
When you first go into the little cottage out in the middle of the island, and you cross that bridge and whatnot, you go into the cottage, and there's that giant flippin' doll hanging in the middle of that cottage. I am by this time I am a full-grown adult, in my early, like my late teens, but full-grown adult.
You must have been in your 20s by the time this game came out.
I want to say, man,
you had to have been, because I was 19, I believe.
Okay, so I had to have been 20, 22, full-grown adult by this point, and I go into this thing. I could not play this area of the game in the dark. That doll creeped me out. They succeeded in scaring me. I was like, by this point, I had gotten used to the environments in Resident Evil, so I didn't find them too scary. And then they pull the cottage, and I was
the doll card.
I was like, God damn it, Capcom, you did it again.
You did it! You did it to me again, Capcom.
I was watching this videos. I think I had told you last week that I was watching this video of the Dark Side Chronicles. I was watching some gameplay of that. And they kind of brought that back again. They showed that doll, and even now, I'm like, look at it, I'm like, freaking A, no, no, I cannot look at this.
That bad, huh?
Yeah. So,
dolls are.
That's still, for me, it still holds up.
Yeah.
So
it's a just long history of man being afraid of creepy dolls.
Right.
Plays into that fear of dolls, whatever that is called. Barbiophobia.
Go on.
I will go on. Probably the next one that I could think of is actually these next couple are actually both from Disney games.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what it is about the most happiest child-friendly company in the world being able to make some of the most creepiest haunted places.
Oh god.
They know what they're doing. Anyways, for those of you who have never played Mickey Mania, this is a 16-bit / 32-bit, action platformer starring Mickey Mouse, and you're basically going through the history of Mickey's stardom, I guess is what you would call it. You basically start at Steamboat Willie, and every level is based off of a different cartoon chronologically through Mickey's career. And so one cartoon which gets touched on again later on in Epic Mickey is the Mad Doctor. It's one of the stages. I like this cartoon. It's pretty good. It's definitely got a good Halloween vibe to it. There's little skeletons and stuff walking around. I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with it, though, because I find that there are better Mickey Mouse, like Halloween type cartoons. Like the Haunted House was one that you and I know really enjoyed a long time ago.
Yeah. Oh god. Okay. The Haunted House thing. Let me tell you. I kind of get nervous showing it. Like I showed it to my son once when he was a baby, so of course he doesn't remember. But I've wanted to show him again. But like that cartoon, that scared me as a child.
It's genuinely spooky at parts.
Yeah, the thing where he walks into the house and it's quiet and then you hear the thing like the little ghosts like moan and whatnot. And I was like, or when I call it death because that's pretty much what it was. Yeah. Death comes up to him and raises the hood and there's that giant skeleton, that giant skull. Oh boy! Oh my god!
You just spooked yourself, didn't you?
So, yeah, right. But all that aside. Confession time. I've never seen the Mad Doctor.
Oh, really?
I've not seen it.
That's what I say. It's not that pivotal, and it's one of those cartoons that kind of ends, like it was all a dream kind of a thing.
Oh, nice.
So it's just, it's got some nice spooky moments to it, though. I think a lot of the stuff, I'm not sure which came first, but one definitely inspired the other because they definitely have some similarities to them.
What you mean, Haunted House and Mad Doctor?
Haunted House and the Mad Doctor.
I want to say that Mad Doctor came out after because Mickey has more of that distinct look around that era.
You could be right.
And honestly, I question more whether Haunted House came after the Skeleton Dance or not. Because they had the same.
Right, a lot of the same. A lot of the same dances got reused.
Frames, yeah.
Yeah.
So, especially that one with that dance where they danced around and they swayed.
Yeah.
Remember when you and I tried to do that? Didn't work out.
No. Broke our ankles. Wasn't fun. But anyway, So Mickey Mania had a level based off the Mad Doctor. What I liked about it, though, was that it wasn't primarily just based off the Mad Doctor. It had some elements of Lonesome Ghosts, which is actually my favorite Mickey Mouse haunted Halloween short.
That's one I have seen, but I've not seen often.
Oh, man, you should watch it again. Lonesome Ghosts holds up. So you have the Lonesome Ghosts. They'll show up every now and then. They'll just kind of swirl out of nowhere and try and paddle you on the butt, and then they'll disappear. Of course, one of my favorite things, if you add this into anything, it'll be my favorite thing. They had some elements of the Haunted Mansion. So as you're walking by, it would have some of the stretching portraits, like they'd start from the Haunted Mansion. So they'd start small, and as you walked by them, in the background, they'd start to stretch out, which I thought was cool.
Pushing Up Roses just did a review on the game, and she showed that scene there, and I was like, hey, I recognize that. So, good review, check it out.
Yes, so that was cool. And then I had like paintings that would like follow you with their eyes and stuff like that. And so that was a level that was really fun. I would always play that game at least just to get to that level, just to play through that.
It's better. I would say, okay, this game, and depending on quote unquote what era of the Mickey Mouse games on the Super Nintendo / Game Boy Advance came out. Originally when this came out on Super Nintendo, this game came out almost at the same time as the Great Circus Caper.
Okay.
Starring Mickey and Minnie.
Mm-hmm.
Which followed more like and now they renamed it on the Game Boy Advance to Magical Quest 2.
Mm-hmm.
But which made more sense because the game only one level took place in the circus. But either way, speaking of which, I think people just looked at that name at the first level and they were like, name it Great Circus Caper.
Yeah, he's in a circus. Just name it the Great Circus Caper. I'm a genius. Where's my check? I'll see you tomorrow.
Right. But they, in hindsight, you were right, because I remember you and I had this argument over which game was better. And of course, I was a big Capcom fanboy back then, so of course for me that game was going to be better. But, clearly Mickey Mania, looking back on it now, is like, yeah, that's definitely the better game. The Sega CD version being the superior version.
I feel like I remember it being more of one of our classic, was it better on the Genesis or Super Nintendo conversations?
No, because we're talking about Mickey Mania in general. Like Mickey Mania versus Great Circus Caper. And looking back on it, it's like, Loathsome Ghosts were also in this Great Circus Caper. And they did a piss poor job of representing them. Because, in Mickey Mania, they actually did what they were meant to do. They're meant to screw with you, And Great Circus Caper, they made them little bitches, and they're like, well, we're ghosts that were scared out of our own house, Oh,
jeez. So, a story we used for Epic Mickey.
Oh, they did? Wow.
Yeah.
They
one of the reasons Epic Mickey's not on this list.
Oh, well, there you go. What you call it? And their haunted house level actually sucks. Oh my god. About the only thing that I found interesting about it at the time, Mood 7, because there's a part of the level that's not in the Genesis version, but it's in the Super Nintendo version, where you have to use the hook. One of the costumes you get, you're like a mountain climber or something like that. Not like the first game. That's like the Bionic Commando thing. You actually have like a hook you use to hang on to things. And so you have to hang on to the wall while the entire room rotates.
Oh, okay.
And so that's about the most interesting thing of that game. But then I was like,
he stole this from Castlevania.
Capcom, or Castlevania and Super Ghouls and Ghosts, because both of those games did it first, By the time this game came out, it was years after the Super Nintendo came out, so I wasn't really impressed. I would just say it's the most impressive thing about this level. And that, and maybe that the boss is a painting of Pete, and you fight him as, how do I describe this? It's a painting of him as the last boss of the first game, but you're actually fighting that painting. So you don't fight him in the same way, but that's what it is. It even plays the last boss music for him,
right?
From that. But that's about it. It was a piss poor haunted house level, and again, piss poor story with that. And I remember even at the end of the credits, because this always bothered me, cast, and then it gave the cast of like the characters, and it just says Lonesome Ghosts.
I guess they were in it.
Yeah. They didn't even have a big role.
Gotta give credit, though, man. They need that IMDb hit.
Yeah, right? So... well, let's see. Haunted house levels. I mean, when I think haunted house levels, I think of the ghost houses in Super Mario Brothers. Namely Super Mario World, because that was really the first game that had the actual haunted houses. Super Mario 3 had the castles. They had the Boo Buddies. Well, they just call them Boo now, but I remember the fancy names they gave them. First it was Boo Diddley, then it was Boo Buddies, and now it's just Boo.
Bring back Boo Diddley. I like that.
And yeah, I liked Boo Diddley too. I still call him Boo Diddley. But okay, I think we brought this up last year's Halloween unreleased episode.
Oh, it's released.
We brought up it was released. Okay, so you may have heard this, you may have not, but I will tell you that a Super Mario Bros. Game did provide me with a jump scare. So, yes, new Super Mario.
Let's all sit back and listen to this spooky story.
Okay,
put the flashlight under your face, Maverick.
New Super Mario Bros. Wii. Okay, I had actually played this after playing Super Mario Bros. U, just because I never did finish the other one. So my son and I are playing this, and he happens to already know that this happens and whatnot. But we're playing. It's getting dark out there. I think it's winter time around this time, so there's not much really that we can do. So we're going through the ghost house, and there's this one portion where you're like, I want to say it's automatic. I don't remember. But all of a sudden, this giant boo comes out of the left side of the screen. Scared the hell out of me. Like, it's not even scary. It's just the fact that it just appeared out of nowhere. You know, okay, you remember playing Mega Man 2 and the first time you go to Dr. Wily's stage and that dragon appears out of nowhere?
Yeah.
And you remember that noise it made when it did that? So that was kind of enough to it wasn't like scary as in, oh, I'm scared that this thing's gonna hurt me. No, it's just scary that's in, boom, it surprised me.
Right.
That's what this boo was. And the funny thing is, I was so embarrassed by the fact that I got scared of this.
Startling boo.
Yeah, because it's such a goofy boo. Like, you turn around and it'll still cover its eyes, but it does this little thing where, like, it'll peek out and it'll inch towards you.
What a jerk.
Yeah, and I'm just
breaking
like,
the boo rules.
Yeah, right? And so, yeah. But either way, so the ghost houses of Super Mario Bros. I like those ghost houses in particular, but the one that I found always eerie, the ghost houses in New Super Mario Bros. The original for the DS had some of the creepiest ghost house music.
Nice.
It's hard to describe. I don't know if you're able to find it. Maybe you play it on the background right now, but it's it just had a very eerie atmosphere that actually you don't hear this in the other one, because like all the other ones, I would say the closest it sounds is to the Super Mario World haunted house music, but it sounds like a lot more creepier.
Nice.
So I would say all the ghost houses in New Super Mario Bros., the original game, probably are the more memorable ones just because of that alone. Excellent.
See what you did, Mario? You scared my friend here.
Yep. It's like, I'm sorry.
I'm a boo. That was terrible. I'm gonna jump back to Disney.
Okay.
Music, always a good thing.
Right.
Probably one of the best haunted house songs ever. DuckTales. Transylvania.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
That was a pretty...
So good. Even the remake music is awesome.
Oh, yeah. No, I really like the... I like both versions. You know, the 8-bit and the up-to-date version. I was about to say 32-bit,
really
but
well
we're
done.
beyond that.
I love this. The game, the music is amazing. The set is amazing. All the giant coffins everywhere. You got the annoying ghosts flying around. You've got the mummies who you can spin them out of their bandages. It's fun.
Yeah, I remember. I think the only thing that annoyed me is like that. I mean, maybe it shouldn't annoy me because that was pretty much the definitive stage of that game. Because in the original, you didn't go there once or twice. You went back 3 times. The first time was, to go through the level as a standard level. The second time was to get the key for the African mines. And the third time was so you can go fight Dracula Duck.
All right.
So, yeah. Little known fact, that stage had different music. So, it had... It was on a prototype version. Like, I've heard it on YouTube. It's, there's actually, it has very different music. It still tries to sound eerie, but it didn't end up sounding as good as the final version did. but it's very different. It even starts out there's like da, 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 da. You know, it starts out like that, but like it's just not as appealing as what ended up in the final product.
Well, there you go, man. Thank God for retakes.
Right? So,
yeah.
A bonus fact, the moon level actually has slower music.
In the prototype?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That would have changed the landscape of video game history.
Right? Could you imagine if they
I know, that song's synonymous with video games.
Oh, everybody loves that game. I mean, I thought it was great, too. I remember... I remember you always singing the Folgers jingle to that.
I still hear it. To this day, even on the remake version, I still hear it.
I hear it because of you, ass.
I could never not hear it. The best part of waking up.
If you had not sang that to that song, I would not think of that. To this day, I still think the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. You know?
And now everybody who hears this episode will never forget it.
Yeah, even though I'm singing it a little differently because it was like the best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. But you like you sang it to the song.
I smashed it in there. As best I could.
Oh my god. Well, I'll tell you one haunted house level that managed to scare me big time.
What's that?
It was a level that didn't exist.
Oh, spooky hidden levels.
Not even hidden. Well, unless you want to count it in my 7-year-old mind.
Okay. Made up a level.
Pretty much. Going back to that era where anything scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Some kids in the 3rd grade decided to with me, and they said, "Yeah, wait until you get to the haunted house level in Kung Fu."
What?
Yeah, I don't know who caught on to the fact that I was scared of Ghosts and Goblins and Castlevania and Goonies, but. Yeah, then someone went on to tell me, yeah, when you get to the highest level in Kung Fu, you get to a haunted house, and it gets all creepy, and you're fighting zombies instead, and, you know, looking back on it now, that makes absolutely no sense in a martial arts video game.
Especially in that game where every single level is exactly the same.
Exactly. But I didn't want to take that chance, so I stopped playing it. I hid the game in my drawer. My brother came over one day to play it, and when he asked to play it, I cried because I did not want him to play the game because, you know, I knew he was good at games. I knew he's the one who lent you the Sega and everything. You know,
we're opening up some deep-seated scars here.
Yeah. So it's like, I was like, no, don't play that game. No, please.
Is that what you were saying while you were sleeping?
Yeah,
clutching
exactly.
your pillow.
I wake up to that in cold sweat sometimes.
The Kung Fu Haunted House. I think I just found the title for this episode.
Kung Fu Haunted House. Go for it. Oh my god. Well, yeah. So, yeah, that existed. But
or
no.
Didn't exist. One or the other.
Or didn't exist. That happened, though.
Its lack of existence existed.
Yeah, I will say, though, that even though it wasn't a haunted house itself, the Goonies did creep me out. Some of those levels, just like the graphics and everything.
I understand.
There was more of the look and the monsters that you fought, you know?
That's a subject for another podcast I want to do one day on unintentionally creepy games.
Oh, there you go.
We're definitely going to do that episode at some point.
So we'll save that one.
Yeah.
We'll save that one.
You know what's another one I liked? Although it's not really a house. It's more of a cemetery level. Mm-hmm. But you can't really. The cemetery from Mystical Ninja. Wow.
Excuse me.
I exuded a cough from you.
Yeah, no, I completely forgot about that. Yeah. That's the first level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That actually is a pretty creepy. I mean, creepy in a sense that, like, you go through half the level, and then all of a sudden everything gets dark and misty, and ghosts are all over the place. It's like, what the hell is this coming from?
And the sound effects are nice and spooky. The music gets spookier. Like they do a really good job of getting you immersed into it.
Yeah, no. I remember that. I just remember being fascinated by how they managed to do that. It's like, wow, this kind of came out of nowhere. And what I liked was that, like, it wasn't like this was like one of the first times you realize this. Like, it's not your standard video game where, like, everyone's still acting like it's normal. No, you go back inside those houses and, like, the people inside are freaking out over this. So I will say that even though I've not played it, I do know of it. Mystical Ninja 2 or Goemon 2 in Japan, they took it one step further. You actually fight Count Dracula.
Oh, take that, Simon Belmont.
Yeah, apparently the beginning of that boss music actually plays the boss music from Castlevania.
Obviously. As Konami was grooming Goemon to take over the Belmont's job. Maybe he was Japan Belmont, and then they were like, oh, this is no good. Let's have him fight that guy that looks like a girl in the future later.
Right?
Whatever his name is. Sonia Belmont, or whatever his name is.
One game I can say, I guess the entire game. Again, we got the obvious, games, Friday the 13th. Let's call it Nightmare on Elm Street. The Splatterhouse series.
Pretty much just one big haunted house.
Yeah, exactly. I was my son's getting into horror a lot more, and he's interested in Splatterhouse, so I was just watching a retrospective on this, and those games, again, another game that would have creeped me out as a kid. One thing I did not know, though, was that there was actually a Nintendo game
really?
Splatterhouse. Yeah, it's translated into Splatterhouse Naughty Graffiti. A Wagpu Graffiti or something like that. I can't remember the word for it. But yeah, it's basically in spoilers for anyone who cares. So get ready. But basically, the game, you start playing it, it doesn't make much sense. It's like you think this is going to be a side story, right? Because the game starts out with the girlfriend crying over her boyfriend's grave, and then lightning strikes, and he comes out of the grave, with the mask and everything. But then she's kidnapped by the Pumpkin King.
Jack Skellington?
No, not Jack Skellington. This came out in 1986 or 1987, one of the two.
Jack the Pumpkin from Return to Oz?
Maybe, who knows? But the game, there was clearly a reason why this game never came out here, because, first of all, so many references to horror movies and whatnot. Like, one of the bosses you're fighting pretty much like the girl from The Exorcist.
Oh, wow.
She's in the bed, and the head's floating around everywhere, and the room's shaking and whatnot. You're fighting Dracula, who does the Thriller dance and everything.
That's even better.
And he's flipping you off while he's throwing projectiles at you. It's a crazy
That's amazing.
Game. Huh?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a crazy game, but it's very interesting. And you get to the end, you beat the game, and you find out that this is all a movie you're filming. So that's a little twist, right? But then you guys leave. The guy's like, "Yeah, you did great. This is going to be a great movie." Blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, the mask comes to life and starts laughing and everything. So again, you're thinking, "Oh, well, maybe this was just a side story." It's like, no. Apparently, if you get the best ending, you actually get the event that leads you to the house and to the events of the first Splatterhouse.
Wow, an NES game with multiple endings.
Yeah, so this game that's supposed to be a prequel to Splatterhouse, and it's supposed to be a parody of I just made my point. This game is supposed to be a parody of a bunch of old horror movies and whatnot. Turns out to be a prequel to the original Splatterhouse.
Nice.
So it explains why these events don't really make sense, because I mean it's not like the other Splatterhouse games where you're like fighting, where you're fighting with your fists and everything like that, and you're picking up weapons. No, the whole time he has an axe. So, or a shotgun.
Shotgun.
One of the two.
Gotta have the shotgun.
Yeah, watch Happy Video Game Nerd review on it. He reviews it, or Pat the NES Punk. He reviews it as well.
Skeletons are made for dancing, or whatever his name is.
Oh, Stop Skeletons for Fighting.
Yeah, sure, whatever. Get right on that.
Yeah, skeletons were made for dancing. That's it.
It should be our name. He should come out with a contest for something where we're like his antithesis, and that can be our name.
There you go.
Are made for
you
dancing.
Hear that, Derek? Go ahead and do that.
Get on it, sir.
If you're listening.
While he gets on that, why don't the rest of you get on the Twitter? Let us know what some of your favorite spooky levels from video games are. We'd love to hear it. You can tweet at us on the Twitters at CrossPlat Show. You can hit us up on our Facebook page, facebook.com/crossplatform show. And of course, you can always email us, gmail.com. That would be CrossPlatform Show as well. If you're listening to us for the first time on your podcast, you can sign up for our RSS feed through our SoundCloud page. We're also on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, Google Play, podcasts, all that nifty little things. And of course, you can find our show on YouTube. Just search for now, Gaming Tangents Podcast. Everything else is forthcoming. But please subscribe to us there as well. The more subscriptions we have, the more nifty YouTube things unlock to us, and hopefully it will keep the heroes at bay.
You will get more happy points.
Happy points are good. And that's pretty much going to do it. Next week is our final episode for the Halloween season. We're going to have a special guest on here, hopefully. Right? Yes? You listening? Good. He's going to be here. And so
we know you're listening.
That will be a fun discussion. We hope you will be there to listen to it all. Until then, unless you've got any other closing comments there, Mr. Maverick.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not good. Not good. All right. Well, I'm glad we covered that. Thank God. Nancy Reagan made sure we had that plastered somewhere. All right. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Gaming Tangents Podcast. Until next time, make sure that you all keep running and jumping away from the monsters that are chasing you.
Keep platforming, people.